I know, I was trying to do it before you started.
Okay, Nicole.
Those podcasts, you're going to be on the other side of the camera, or you're going to be right beside me on the camera?
I'm over here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you over there, I'm over here.
Okay.
This is not about me. Right?
Okay.
You'll hear me in the background and whatnot. For example, you're going to hear me fiddling with this microphone right now. All right, Nicole Brown-Fordham, how are you?
I'm good.
How was your weekend?
It was rough.
Why so rough?
Got new meds for infusion, and my body took a good little while
To adjust to these
to
new
adjust
meds.
to it. Like my pain is still higher than it should be, but this is where we are. Blame insurance. Insurance did it.
Really?
I was responding to the one I was on. Insurance
given?
Yes, the ones I was on. Insurance said, "Hey, you didn't try this one before you got to the one that was working. So let's go back and try."
Yeah, that
try
sucks.
this.
That sucks.
Yeah,
that sucks. But
so I was in a bed all weekend.
Well, you're here now, and
Yeah.
that's what's most important to me is the fact that you are here now. So, okay. So, for starters, please tell me your name, your years of service, what is your current position, and what is your favorite quote in education?
My name is Nicole Brown-Fordham. This is year 23. Woo! I'm an English teacher. You want to know the classes I'm teaching? No, don't care. I'm an English teacher. My favorite quote in education is actually from Dr. Maya Angelou. Says, "When people show you who they are, believe them."
You know what? I lied. I am kind of curious. What classes are you teaching right now?
English 10 honors, 12 AP literature and composition, have African American literature semester 1, and speech and debate semester 2.
Gotcha. All right. So what initially brought you into education? So you say you got 20 years of experience. 20 years. That's good because you've been teaching longer than the students in this building have even been alive.
Yes.
So what brought you into education?
I needed a job. I never wanted to be a teacher, ever. I never wanted to do this job. I graduated college as a single parent. I took a job as just assistant manager at Lady Foot Locker with my English degree, and was looking for positions, and it was difficult to accept a position in New York as a single parent. So it was like, oh my goodness, everything is so high and you're not going to pay me that much, because I was looking to get into the field of journalism. Fast forward, ended up at my sister's house with my son. I was just like, what am I going to do now? I need to get out of my sister's house. This was before you could do an application digitally. You had to submit everything on paper. And so I just drove around to school districts and gave them a packet. Here are my transcripts. Here's my resume. Here's a cover letter. Here's a letter from somebody who said I was like a good person. My degree's in English. I need a job.
Okay. Now that you're in English, now that you're in education, 20 years later, right, of not even wanting to do any of this, we hanging out at Lady Foot Locker, chilling, selling shoes, selling the latest Jordans. Next thing you know, hi, children. I am Miss Nicole Brown-Fordham. What, when you first started teaching, were you middle school, elementary school?
High school.
High school?
I was 23 years old.
23 years.
With seniors.
With some seniors. Basically the same age as you. Some of them probably super duper
My
seniors.
oldest student was 19.
19. See? So y'all was in elementary school together.
Right.
So y'all was in elementary school at the same time.
We were on the playground at the same time.
Now I'm supposed to listen to you tell me
what to do.
What about reading Shakespeare? Gotcha. Okay. So now, right? So now you've been in the game for 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? Identify your why. And what I mean by that is like, why do you continue to do what you do? What brings you back every single day? And here's the thing with this particular series, you may have a different answer than the next person. Next person might have a different answer, so on and so forth. I want for you to be as honest as possible. Your why may not be the same why as everybody else's. So what brings you back every day?
There was a center time where it was just my insurance that brought me back every single day. Again, did not want to do this ever. My why isn't necessarily, I'm here for the children. I'm here for what's inside. So there has got to be somebody in my room who is going to be okay with learning the productive struggle. There's going to be somebody in my room who is not going to want to befriend me just because they want a better grade. They actually want to learn a skill and take something with them on the outside of the room. And so my why isn't like the curriculum. It isn't, oh, you're passionate about books. I don't care if you like anything that we read. However, if once you graduate, once you get across the stage, if you can question everything, I've done my job. When you get them papers for your insurance and you can read between the lines, or for your benefits and realize that somebody is leaving something out, or you're just not going to take the first thing that comes around, then I've done my job. There's something in there. And I continue to do this work because I have an 11-year-old, and they got to make it better for her. And they got to make it better for the babies who are in first grade and third grade. They got to make it better for the babies who are not even born yet, because we got people who just, they don't read, they can't read, they make up stuff and then tell us it's the truth.
But I'm sure Chat GPT made this easier for all of us, because now, all right, I'm sorry. You were saying?
Chat GPT is the bane of my. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that's also my why. Because I am not the check teacher. I'm going to read every single word you submit, and I'm going to make some type of comment on your work. If this is a smooth, I'm going to learn your voice. Like, you have to earn a right to use technology in my class. Even my seniors, they handwrite so much, so I can learn how they write. So the other part of my why is, if all you know are nickel and dime words, cool, I'm gonna make you the most prolific speaker with those nickel and dime words. So you'll never have to touch a $50 word, and you can still get to the table, so the next nickel and dime speaker can also be at the table. That's the other reason. Like, there's something in you. I just got to figure that out. But if you just on me about grades, I can't.
So, well, then let's dig deeper then with that. At some point, you've been in this game for 20 years. And at some point, while, yeah, you were saying, like, at first, I didn't want to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Then it became about the insurance. Now I'm also thinking about now, legacy wise, right? You're thinking about for your daughter, and like, I got to help this out, so on and so forth. Is there a specific moment that you could possibly think of? Or was there a year or a time? When did you fall in love with the profession?
Year 10.
Year 10. What happened year 10?
Year 10, I was in DC. And we're talking generational poverty, but not your stereotypical generational poverty. Like, those babies they were dissecting texts like nobody's business. They were finding connections when I told them, which, if you can read it or if you can listen to it, you can analyze it. And so when they trusted me to do that, it was cool. The day I fell in love with teaching was also the day that a fight was happening, and I had to come out of my heels to hold the door to keep one girl from pushing in, the other girl from pushing past me. And then it wasn't that like phones were coming out or anything. It was just, I'm just trying to get them to see, like, now it's not the time. This is not the moment. It's, these words aren't necessary. Like, somebody's talking about your block, but no, neither one of you own the block. The next day, one of the girls met me, of course, after dismissal, whatever, to talk to me. And she told me that she caught a reflection of herself in my door. She didn't like what she saw. I was like, all right. Then the next day, the same girl, she caught me again. And she was just like, I want to apologize because I was calling you out your name. And she was. Both of those girls came back from suspension. And somewhere in there, they were like, I wouldn't necessarily say they were remorseful over what they were saying to each other, but how they addressed me. And they were like, well, what am I supposed to do when I get angry like that? And so I began to work with them through what we were reading. And the more I did that, the more I fell in love with it. Like, I brought Tupac, Brenda's Got a Baby, into the classroom and talked about societal expectations. And these babies were taking a deep dive into it. Like, wait a minute, songs had messages? I'm like, yes. What about songs that deal with X, Y, Z? And the more I did that, the more I was like, man, I'm really good at this. I really know how to do this. This is nice. And it all started from two girls trying to get through me in a door to fight. So yeah, it took year 10. It took the full school year of year 10 to realize I love this, because I will use a Nike commercial. I will use a rap lyric. I will use a song that's got all the colorful words in it. But if it's going to make those babies think, I'm going to do it.
So here's the thing, right? So you've been doing this now. This is year 20 for you.
23.
You're 23.
Year
You're
23.
23. For me, I believe this is year 14. Unless it's like one of the big numbers, you always forget. I think this is year 14 for me.
Mm-hmm.
While I agree with you, right? There's most of us have a moment where we fell in love. There's also a moment that may have changed that and may have made you second guess either yourself. Why am I even wasting my time with this? Whatever it is. Have you had that? Has there been something that's happened in your career that maybe has changed that? It doesn't necessarily need to be a specific moment, but has there been anything that's possibly changed that and made you doubt yourself or doubt, why am I even doing this?
Yes.
What happened?
So I have rheumatoid arthritis and fibromyalgia. And at one point, that's pain in your muscles and pain in your joints, and it's everywhere. And at one point, life was hard. I needed help taking a shower. I needed help getting dressed. I couldn't pick up my child. Like, it was just the worst. And so if I can't do all of those things for myself, like, how in the world am I going to show up to work every day and try to do things with kids? I've had spasms in the classroom. The students have had to wheel me out of the room. And it just got to a point, it was just like, I feel like everyone is constantly watching me, that no one's really catching content, because it's like, is Miss Brown gonna get sick today? Because at first I wasn't married, then I got married, then it turned into, is Miss Brown-Fordham gonna get sick today? Because when she gets sick, that's it. And then we're gonna have a sub, and there's nothing that's gonna happen. And that shift was relatively quickly. So year 10, I fell in love. Year 11, I started going downhill. By 2018, I was on bed rest the second half of the semester. So what do? Like, all the hard work, all the, I done figured this out, all of the, yes, this works, has now turned into worksheets and questions and no discussion because I'm not in the building. And I was like, you know what? I think it's time to leave. I need a stay-at-home job so I don't interfere. I don't want to be the reason that insert child didn't get whatever because I was gone half the year. And I don't know what they learned. I don't know what they did. So I was like, I gotta go. I need to get out of here. But clearly that didn't happen.
So that didn't happen. Oftentimes when something like that didn't happen, there was something that kind of kept you around. That something could be an event that happened. It could be, I need insurance. It could be really anything, right? And I just keep going back to that because you referred to that earlier. But in your role, oftentimes what I feel like is missing, not in your role, I feel like what's missing in, especially in education, but really in a lot of other fields, is a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
In your role as a teacher, do you have a mentor that helps keep you uplifted? If so, who are they and why are they your mentor?
My mentor would be Dr. Andrea Sparks Brown.
Who is Dr. Andrea Sparks Brown? And why is Dr. Andrea Sparks Brown your mentor?
She's auntie now. I met this beautiful Black woman when I was 25 years old in a mess. I had a temper. I had a temper. But I do think that's also one of the things that kept me grounded, because I look like students when I'm in the hallway. Like, you don't know who is what. Like, my first year teaching, I got written up. Teacher did not believe that I was also one of their coworkers.
Yeah,
but I
because
digress.
you were 23 with 19-year-olds in the
Got written up.
No,
I wish I kept that referral, but we let that go. But that woman, she said, she said, you interview so well. You act like you made it seem like you could walk on water, you could do things, And then she got to meet who I was for real. And took me into her office. And when I say she spoke life, she broke it down. So here I am. First, she lets me cry in there because, again, now I'm 25 and I got a kindergartner that's got to go to school. So she said, come on in here and deal with that. But as far as learning how to work with people, learning the difference between pedagogy and methodology, learning how to speak, learning how to dress, learning how to carry yourself, learning how to make sure you have a seat at the table, she did it. And she did not quit. Oh, she stayed on me. But the same way she spoke life into me, she spoke life into my son. She spoke life into my godson. She was going for her doctorate. I was rooting for her. When I got into my doctoral program, I texted her and let her know. Like, it's not someone who I don't keep in contact with. Like, her children, those are my cousins. Like her daughter was in the hospital and saw my daughter when I had her. Like like she absolutely welcomed me into the fold and helped me regulate a lot of things. So yeah, surviving, and that was year 3 of teaching. Years 1 and 2, I don't know what I was doing. By the time year 3 came and I met her, it was like, wow. Then year 4, it got better. Then year 5, it got better. And so I truly believe that a part of me is just like, I can't do this because if I do this, I'm gonna make Auntie mad. And if I make Auntie mad, I don't want to have that conversation because that woman put the fear of God in me. Like you know how you like, please don't show up. Like I feel like if I do something that's too out of pocket, she gonna show up.
So you know, and you mentioned, so it's like, so for me, like I said, I feel like that's very, very important. Like, and oftentimes in our roles, either one, we're not seeking mentorship, or if we do find mentorship, it's like it's temporary, and then we kind of just, well, we don't want to keep bothering them because we hold them to such a high standard that we don't want to keep bothering them and going back to them. But it's like when you're a mentor, like you want that, right? But you were saying how like she kind of poured into you and she changed a lot of things for you. How has your work style evolved since, I want to say since your first year, but let's say you just said your first, second year, you were kind of just like floating around in limbo. Let's say since then, right? So since we met her, how has your work life, how's your work style changed?
There are some days I sound like her. She's like, I wear a size 10. This is a firm foundation. I was like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And so because she has that straight, no chaser kind of attitude, I definitely have taken that on. Like, I'm gonna tell you exactly what you need to know, and sometimes it's gonna come out a little raw, but it's the best intentions behind it. Even though she poured into me, she did not coddle me. When I needed to be set down and told you are wrong and this is what you don't know how to do and I'm gonna help you do it better, yeah, I sat in there 25, 26, 27, probably crying, but it was also something that I needed. You know, it was I am trying to get you ready to navigate this career. You know, so she was a black AP at the time, young black teacher. Let me show you what it's gonna look like in the variety of spaces. This is what you can expect here. This is what you can expect there. And you walk in clueless, like you don't really know, right? You're always saying, not all skin folk, kinfolk, and then you meet some of them, or you meet the white people who just they talk down to you all of the time. But again, I had a temper, so I wasn't able to check myself before I responded, and so I just automatically responded. You know, it was things like that she helped me through, and it was like, okay, so the longer I've taught, I'll let whomever, like she had this thing where she's like, I'm gonna let you talk and then it's gonna be my turn. And I catch myself saying that. I'm like, oh, you going, go ahead and talk. And then it's gonna be my turn. Like I used to go back and forth. I don't now. You can have the whole floor. Like I'll shut class down. Say anything you gotta say with your chest, but just know when you're done, it's my turn now.
So, well, you know what, and that kind of actually segues, and I don't want to cut you off, but that kind of segues into the next question, which is, so you learn a lot from your mentor, right? And that's the beauty of having a mentor, because it helps bring out who you are and understanding your personality and so on and so forth. However, we work with children, and we know that children aren't the most shy with their words at times. But it also that's a good and a bad thing. What have you learned about yourself from your students? So you learn a lot from your mentor, but just when at the end of the day, right, it's your class, you got to turn that mirror around and look, these kids didn't learn something. Some of it could be on them, but sometimes we have to be self-reflective, right? So what have you learned about yourself from your students?
Oh gosh. I've learned how to be patient. I used to, I'm gonna give it to you right then and there, right on the spot. Don't even care who around. I don't even care. I'm just gonna return this energy. I have learned how, and I even have it tattooed on my foot. Patience is a virtue. So anytime I get real frustrated, I look down at my foot as a reminder, like, all right, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. Because where at first, the first few years, I might have taken everything personal. Now I know that anger, that frustration, that whatever you got that's coming out of your mouth sideways, don't have nothing to do with me. And you just met me. You don't even know me. I may remind you of somebody, or I was the easiest person to go for that day, whatever. But because I learned how to be patient, in the same essence that you're able to speak life into the child who spazzes out one day or goes off one day, you also yourself become a mentor, because they're just like, oh, you didn't write me up when I X, Y, and Z. Well, you didn't need a referral, baby. You needed a hug. So come on here, let's close the door. Why are you mad for real? Why you didn't want to work today? Why you didn't? And the responses you get, I was hungry. I just broke up with my girlfriend, so now we don't know how to navigate relationships, so on and so forth. Um, but the other thing I learned about myself is that I am consistent. So it's not that I'm only going to hold the hand of those who like want to work hard. Like, no, I'm gonna hover over the people who don't want to work. I'm not just gonna fuss at the loudest ones. I'm gonna fuss at the quiet ones too. Like everybody can get yelled at. I'm an equal opportunist. I'm gonna figure out whoever speaks your language, so they just say these words that you need to hear. Like, that's what I've learned about myself. I'm consistent and I'm patient.
Okay. So as a teacher, in education, the point of this series is kind of just to highlight the different people within education,
Mm-hmm.
right? So obviously the population that dominates the profession are teachers, but we know that there's also administrators, there's also bus drivers, there's cafeteria workers, there's
Mm-hmm.
PPWs, there's counselors, there's psychologists, there's all these different things. And through the course of this series, we'll try to highlight as many of those as possible.
Mm-hmm.
However, what value does your role as a teacher bring to your school or community?
I really feel like I bring a little bit of balance. Um, for some of my for some of my scholars, so that's what I call my students. For some of my scholars, I'm the first Black teacher that they've had, or I'm a different Black teacher that they've had. And so having those cultural conversations, teaching them how to have uncomfortable conversations has definitely been something where it's just like, I can't have the fact that I look like this, so let's just talk. But I also don't expect you to understand every component of my story. I do expect you to listen. And so I think that when you walk into a room and they see you, it's like, oh my goodness, can she really do this? And I've been in those spaces. When you walk into a session and they realize that you're the presenter and people walk out, you're just like, oh snap, is she gonna quit too? Is she gonna cry? You just keep going. And then what happens is all those stories go into your toolbox. And then when a student says, well, what am I supposed to do? The only way I know how to get them to like find some ownership in it is to tell a little bit about myself. Like, have you ever been in a moment where it's just like people didn't think you could do your job? Yes. Yes, I have. And it's because of who they saw first. Did you ever da 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 da? Like, case in point, I remember being at a school where I was for that class, many of them, more than half, I was their first Black teacher. And they would take my work that I graded, gave back to them. They would take it back to their ninth grade teachers who were white and ask their ninth grade teachers to verify my grade. And then the ninth grade teachers would bring the papers back to me. And sometimes they would just put them in my hand. And every now and then it would try to be a conversation. And I'm just sitting there like, I got them now. Yeah. So what do you do? What do you do then? Like, do you act up because it's easy? Because every day is an opportunity to flip a desk? Or do you turn it into a learning tool, so when students ask you about your issue with the ism, you just make it plain like, y'all, it's not even outside of the buildings, it's right here every day. Somebody thinking you can't because of who they see first. So I definitely get some balance, because I'm gonna give you what you need to hear, and I'm not gonna lie.
Knowing that about yourself, it's not just about yourself, but just knowing this about the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
23 years in, what should people? So you're 23 years in. Right now, there's a 23-year-old Nicole about to go into the classroom for the first time. What should people know about being a teacher before going into it?
They should know their temperament before they go into it. Being 23 years old and having seniors, my temper saved me. I cannot stress it enough. They towered over me. They had something to say every single day. And I'm just standing there like, all right, this child cussed me out one more time. This child think I can't do something one more time. This child think I can't da 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 da. Because again, once they figured out how old I was, it was done. It was a wrap. I never told them. you y'all, she just 20, and they would holler it out.
I ain't gonna lie. My first year of teaching, I was the same way. My first year of teaching, I don't think I told students how old I was until maybe I was in like year 4 or 5 or something
That's
like
the
that.
thing. I did
And I
not.
worked at a middle school. And I still didn't want to tell them because I was like, I didn't want to tell them, and then they go home and tell their parents, like, yeah, oh yeah, Miss McCaskill's 22. I started when I was 22. Miss McCaskill's 22. Oh, 22? Oh, he don't know nothing.
Right.
And then now you're undermining me because of my age.
Yeah,
So
how the kids found out that there were some staff members who were talking about me. And they were like, we hired this. I mean, she's brand new. She's 23. She looks like one of the kids. How are we supposed to figure out? Well, I was it. I was the new hire. So then they put 2 and 2 together. Of all the things they decided to investigate, it was me. I was like, all right, here we go. But yeah, you have to be comfortable with you. You have to know, and it's different. We have cell phones and all the things. You did what you did. You said it, and you had to worry about going viral and all of the other things. You got to just figure out, are you ready? At 23, was I ready for seniors? Oh my goodness, no. I learned more about me than I think they did. Like in that, I'm like, I just got to keep my job because they really getting on my nerves. But what's in those books is not always going to help you.
So what's the most rewarding part of your job, right? Now that you know now, it's the most rewarding part. Listen, and again, we want to be honest with people. For some people, this might sound crazy, right? Because a lot of people don't go into education for the check. Some people, the most rewarding part of their job is every other Friday when they see that their bank account, and their bank account is a little bit fatter than it was 2 days ago, right? So, but for you, I mean, it might be something different. So what's the most rewarding part of your job? And this is so, and again, right, keeping in mind the audience of the people who's primarily going to be listening to this are educators. So
listen, real talk. Most rewarding part of my job happens once my seniors are gone. Like, I've had the same cell phone number since 2005 because I always give my seniors my cell phone number, and I said, let me know how it can help, keep me up to date, so on and so forth. And I get random messages about I'm going to grad school, or I'm getting married, or I'm getting engaged, or I got the job and I'm going overseas, or I'm blah, 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 or I'm filling in the blank. Like, that is honestly the most rewarding part of my job. It's like, once we've done all this we come in and we looked at the book and we read the questions and we wrote the words. It's like you done got out and into the world and you done made a name for yourself. So for the baby who I watched get handcuffed and escorted out of the building, who I then turn around and write a recommendation letter for grad school in the Sound Affiliate Education. The 10th grader who was my son's babysitter, who was there his first week of kindergarten, also came to visit me before he started his freshman year at Morgan State University. It is knowing that they are diplomats and they've done great, big, beautiful, wonderful things, and I just get it like whatever. Like, I didn't like having that class with you. This is not, it's a love-hate relationship. I tell my students, I say I'm both the hero and the villain in somebody's story, and I'm okay with that. But when those messages come, when those emails come, I'm like, you know what? Keep going.
I'll be honest with you. I had a teacher when I was in high school, Coach Lee. Coach Lee said something to us one time because I was a part of Men in Distinction. It was a club for all the boys or whatever. And Coach Lee said something that has always stuck with me. And he was just saying because he was just addressing like what you can get out of Men in Distinction. And he says, I've had students who've gone to Yale. I've had students who've gone to jail. The decision is completely up to you of wherever it is that your life ends up, right? And it's just like kind of just keeping that in mind of just like as an educator, those phone calls of like the students who we're seeing them day after day from the moment they were a freshman, boy, your life gonna be hard. But oftentimes we see
Right.
at some point something clicks.
All right,
At some point,
they figure it out,
right?
and so just like I can't show up to everybody's wedding, but I'll send a card. I also can't show up to everybody's funeral.
Yeah.
Like man, we were so close. We were so close. Like I remember just a couple years ago, like 5 years ago, I had a student used to walk around selling socks. Why are you selling socks? Honestly, it could be something else. You right. Sell your socks, baby. And then like a couple years, just like a year after he graduated, gone. Right? So you sit there, it's like it's a 50-50 shot. Like every day, every decision, like I tell my seniors, and it's scary when you hear it, or not just my seniors, but I tell my students, period, you got a 50-50 shot. Every decision you make is life or death. Whether it's literal or figurative. It's life or death. So whomever you chose to be in the moment, you got to figure out what you're going to do for that next moment. And then you got to figure out what you're going to do with the next moment. Oh my goodness, there's yet another moment, right? So I can't speak to anybody who had like the traditional path. I went to high school and then I went to college and I graduated from college and I did all the things. No, I got into college and then I dropped out and then I enlisted and then I had to take an honorable discharge because I found that I was going on to my 5th month of pregnancy. And so when I got my bachelor's degree, my toddler was in the audience waving at me. And they sit down and just like, oh, you don't know how hard it is. Try me. Try me. But even then, it's also like none of that's on your resume. Like, dude, no one cares that you were the class clown. Like, no one cares that you were the valedictorian. No one cares that you got in 16 fights in 21 days. Like, no one cares. Like, what are you going to do once you're done fighting? What are you going to do once you're done? Whatever. What are you going to do when it's not your resume or your GPA, like that's you think it's going to be like tattooed on your neck or your face or somebody? So everybody, like, what are you going to do next?
So then, as a teacher, I'm making up numbers here, right? Let's say on average you've had 120 students a year, right? On average, 120 students a year for 23 years. I don't know. I'm not a math teacher. I graduated from public school. So define success in your role, right? So if you could define what success looks like in your role, right? You've had literally thousands of students at some point, right? What's this? What is success? What's failure in your role, in your eyes, right? We know what the state says, and the state looks at the numbers and this and that, and maybe you do too. I don't know, right? Maybe we're examining the ABCs, right? Attendance, behavior, and
all the things,
right? What is success, and what is failure in your eyes?
I do look at data. I'm not gonna lie. I do look at data. However, but just negate the first half of that sentence. I just need one. That's success. I just need one to get what's between the lines. Because here's the deal. The teachers want to be liked. I don't care. They're the teachers who want to be the favorite. I don't care about that either. They're teachers who want insert whatever accolade. I don't really care about that. Even though I've gotten them and I'm very humbled and grateful for them, but I don't really care. I just need one. I need one to realize what school was historically set up for, and then also what I'm getting them prepared for. I just need one.
I like that. What do you define as failure? I want to go back to that point.
Failure. Sorry.
What do you also define as failure? Like, I have failed my job if blank.
I don't even think it's failure. Is just you quit. You don't even give yourself a chance to try again. You don't even give yourself a chance to say, you know what, I'm gonna try to do better tomorrow. So if Monday comes and I done flipped out and I done just reevaluate. Failure is when you just stop. You don't reflect. You don't process. You don't have the conversation. You don't go to your village to be like, It's the kid who fill in the blank does something opposite of what you expect, and they don't even try to do anything else. That is failure. So for me, learning how to become a reflective practitioner, learning how to step back and say, you know what, something didn't go well today. Was it them or was it me? And then I'm gonna try it again. All right, it got a little bit better. All right, cool. If I decide not to, if I just run my classroom like a tyrant because that's what works, you failing everybody, but you also don't realize that you are. So yeah, I just like get up. Pick it up. Start here.
So I want to go back to what you were saying for success, right? I just need to get that one. If I can help that one see what education was set up for and, kind of what's coming down the road, then I'm a success. Well, I got two questions left. Questions left. In your opinion, what is and this is based on Nicole Brown-Fordham. This ain't based on what anybody else say. I don't care what I don't know, the principal Kafele and all of them say, right?
Yes,
Even though I love Kafele. We all love Kafele. It's not based on whatever they're saying. In your opinion, what is the greatest challenge we face in education today?
We don't want learners. We don't want learners. I need you to be able to check this box. So school was set up to make sure that we knew our industrial workers knew how to work the system. I need you to go here, check that box, go here, check that box, walk in the line, eat your lunch, check that box, and keep going. That's school. We don't want people to color outside of the lines. We don't want people to make their own shape. And that's what education is, right? The reason why we have these wonderful inventions is because somebody just sat there and said, you know what? We need fill in the blank, and I'm going to make it happen. They are going into the world untethered, but we are trying to do so much to just stay like this. Stay like this. You know what? This book right here is too thick. It's too modern. It's too woke. Let's cut that off. Let's not let them see. Let's not let them do, because we just want to copy paste and send you into the world. And if we can copy paste and send you into the world, we have done our job. You know what? Ban that book. We shouldn't read about this, or wizards, or magic, or religion, or fill in the blank. It's just too much. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. It's just, okay, great. And then they get out into the world. And then what happens? Their first mistake, they falling apart. Their first issue, they falling apart. And they don't know how to back up. That's the challenge. We don't want people to come out of this system with the mindset to make it better for those coming behind them. We don't want to embody, like, oh, I am my ancestors' greatest achievement. I can do this. We don't want those people. This works. I want you to learn the system that works, graduate, work in that system, and don't you ever question it.
In a lot of ways, we need to build some of that grit too, right? Because if you're trying to invent something, you're trying to do something new, you're gonna fail.
Yeah,
right.
That's
literally that's the part of you gonna fail. Right. And it's I don't think enough people appreciate the fact that you're gonna fail. And we say this as educators, right? I'll never forget, man. I was getting observed one day, and I had this bomb lesson, right? I was like, oh, this lesson gonna be dope because we're gonna have kids over here, and they're gonna be doing this over here, and they're gonna be doing that. And I had the social studies person from the county coming to observe me. Mm-hmm. When I'm telling you that lesson went so terribly wrong, and like literally everything about it was so wrong. And I was like, I learned from that experience. Right. So it's like, yo, you're doing too much to try to impress this other person. Like, why? Like, just be yourself, right? So the next time around the next year when I taught that lesson again, it was very much so different. But it's like that grit. A lot of people just would have thrown it out altogether and said that, oh man, this lesson was a failure. I'm like, nah, like in education, you got to be willing to have some form of
do it.
Yeah, and if you fail, you fail. All right, whatever. So what? Yeah. So
teacher, I got observed. Not a kind of person. My lesson it didn't have bells and whistles, but oh my goodness, I kept mispronouncing the same word over. And the lady in the back, she just kept writing. She even wrote it out phonetically. I was like, all the things that I did didn't matter. None of it mattered. It didn't matter that I got my students to turn. Now, this is my third year teaching. I'm still clueless. It didn't matter that I got my students to transition well. It didn't matter that they were using accountable talk. It didn't matter that they were referring. I had this pyramid of word wall from a 10th graders. It didn't matter that when they got stuck, they went to the word wall. No. Kept mispronouncing this word. That was all across my observation.
Look, I'll say it because I know we got one question left. No, I think, but see, it's funny though, right? So the greatest challenge that we face in education was a question, and it's like kind of going to what you're saying. I know for me, she was technically my second principal, but she came in after my my first principal was only there for like the first half of the year, and then my new principal came in. Yeah, and I remember thinking she would come and observe my classroom, and she didn't like the way I would do notes. Right? Like I would do notes on the board, and she just didn't like the way that I would do it. And I remember one day she came in and observed me, And her critique of me was the class looked like it was very engaged. It looked like everybody was learning. They were having a good time while doing so. But the grow that she gave me, she do glows and grows.
Mm-hmm.
The grow that she gave me was like, perhaps when you're speaking with the students, don't use as much slang or whatever it might be. And I remember looking at that of like, yo, like this is the way I talk is the way I talk. And this is who I am. I'd speak like this if I'm speaking to the president or if I'm speaking to a man who's on the street. And it's like, you want for me to stop doing notes a certain way because you want for me to do it a different way that somebody else does it. You want for me to speak a certain way because you want me to fit inside of this other box as well. Right. And so kind of going back to what you're saying is just like we don't want learners, we just want workers and people who fall into the system. And I know that one thing I took a lot of pride in was at the end of the year, I wanted not only to see how well did my students do,
Mm-hmm.
but also how well did my students do in comparison to my counterparts. Like that to me at that time was actually really important because you want me to fit into this box. Well, here are all the other people you're telling me who fit into that box, and my scores are higher than theirs.
Right. That part.
So what are we doing?
That
here?
part. Yeah.
But you don't. At no point though did she ever say, "Well, McCaskill, like, what are you doing in your class?" But whatever. Here's the last question I got for you.
Whatever.
Here's the last question I got for
you.
Yes. So you are in year 23.
Yes.
You have, and you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You have more teaching days behind you than in front of you. Are we looking at potential retirement in the future?
Yes.
I would assume so. Or are we looking at doing another 23 years?
No.
Didn't think so. So with that being said, for the thousands of students you have already taught,
yes,
and the several hundreds more that may be coming after this,
my God. Okay. Yes.
How would you like for your students to remember you?
I'm Batman.
Normally, so for the people who are watching this, normally this room is like pitch black. It's dark in here. This is that cave. However, look, for the sake of this, can we turn the light on? How would you like for your students to remember?
No, I would like my students to know that who you see is who you're going to get. The way similar to what you were saying about, who you're talking to, the way I teach is the way I parent, the way I am in my relationships. I hate wasting time. If I did something wrong, just tell me. It don't got to be pretty. If there's a way I can fix it, just tell me. It's fine. Because I want the skill. And that's what I need my students to remember. I want to be remembered as, you know what? She didn't necessarily push the grade. She pushed, like, what am I learning? I'm going to take whatever resource I have. My first year teaching, I got a stack of papers this thick from 1973 and was told, go make it happen. Cool. So whatever I got, I'm going to make magic happen. And I'm going to give you everything. Like, even on days where I don't feel good, because, again, health issues, I'm going to give you 110% of myself. And then class will be over. And I'm going to try again. So remember that. I'm not going to quit. It's no half doing. I'd rather my scholars come in or look at my agenda and see it's a work day, but of me just trying to fluff my way through an activity because I don't like to do it. That's it.
I got you. All right, Miss Brown-Fordham, I appreciate your time.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're like right at the time I said that.
We're doing good.
Well, there is a clock in
that
there.
Clock might be off.
Yeah, exactly. So either way, thank you so much. Thank you so much.